Hi, I'm Jennifer Bardot, and I'm excited to talk with you about GRIT today. What does GRIT stand for? Growth, Resilience, Intention, and Tenacity. And I've put together 5 anthologies highlighting over 200 women within this collection. And I'm excited to have one of the contributing authors of Resilience here on the stage today. So I'm going to kick it to Derlene. Who is Derlene?
Derlene is, the labels of Derlene are mom, wife, or yes, daughter, cousin, friend, sister. So those are the labels. Entrepreneur, business owner. So those are the labels of who I am. I would say, who am I really? I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. That's really who I am. And in that, who am I? Every day is different because I believe every day we get to evolve and dive deeper into what that really means.
So I know a little bit about your work, but tell everyone here today how you help others evolve and what is your work about?
So the label attached to what I do is a mindset coach and a success trainer. And really the thing that I believe that I do best is I help people just step right into their greatness. You know, when you say, who are you really? We discover that by stepping into the greater part of who we are. And I focus on a lot of past experiences. That's really creates who I am to bring me to you today, right? And what I get to learn from that, and then how I get to help them grow. So we all have these challenges and these obstacles and these limitations that are in our way that prevents us from really seeing a different perspective, a wider perspective. And once we really tap into those and discover the gifts attached to them, not the pain, the gifts, then we're able to sort of evolve, move up to the next level of who we are called to be.
And I remember having you as one of my speakers for GRIT community, and you taught everybody in that room that day of just the uniqueness of our gifts and how we all show up so differently in regards to our perspectives and how we perceive certain things. So that leads me to, what was the tipping point to help you learn how to step in and own who you are now and bring people alongside of you as you help them evolve?
So I would say my backstory is that I was in a very toxic job, didn't realize it. I think that after a certain amount of time, you shift to survival. And I realized that I had lost all of my confidence, didn't value my own self-worth. Then my son announced he was going to Afghanistan for the first time, and that was a fear that I had no tools how to deal with. And it just dropped me to my knees and made a phone call at the urging of a high school friend. And on that day, literally, the reason why I made the phone call is because I was walking from my kitchen to my dining room and I said, God, I'm done. If today's the day you want me, just please take me. I'm tired of this pain. And I heard myself say that because then my next thought was, if God doesn't make that decision, what decision will I make? And saying that out loud to where I actually heard it is what invited me to pick up the phone and make a phone call. And I have never, ever looked back other than to learn lessons associated to triggers, maybe. We were just talking about that earlier. And, but never to stay stuck on my story. We all have this story, right? And it's a great story designed for us to learn and grow. What happens is that we get stuck in our story and we keep telling that story over and over again. And the more we tell it, the more we believe it and the more the energy we put out there and the more we live it until something happens like, Mom, I'm going to Afghanistan. Right. That knocks us on our knees. And then again, we have a choice. Do I grow or do I stay stuck? And so for me, it was growth. And I became really curious about, wow, how'd that happen so fast? I started coaching. 2 months later, I have all these dreams and all this going on. And I was like, how in the world did that happen? And so I asked my coach what happened so quickly. And she said, well, I use a discipline called Linguistic Programming. And I said, well, I have to know more, and then I just started studying it. I went out to California and trained with her for, years. and decided that St. Louis deserves to have that kind of growth here. And so I brought the program here. And so that's what I do is I train neuro-linguistic programming within my Ignite Your Mindset, Accelerate Your Success program. And then I also have Masterminds attached to the same thing. So I'm about really personal development for business owners, entrepreneurs, sales professionals, so that I know what holds us back is something interior. It's never exterior. Although we try to solve that by buying a new car, by, getting the ice fixed and whatever, fill in the blank, right? Updating our phones. We just, it takes a lot of humility to say, oh, what about this is about me?
Right.
And that's where the growth really happens.
To do the work and do the introspecting. And that leads me to thinking about my 3 pillars when I was designing growth was, first you have that awareness, and then you have to take action if you decide to actually want to grow. And then once you've hit your goals, after you've taken action, you have the liberation. And I love that that was your personal journey, and that just displays your utter resilience for not throwing in the towel, not giving up, but knowing that there was a different path and you were going to figure that out, and you have.
Right.
And now you do that for so many.
Yes, exactly. I actually think that it was resilience that allowed me to pick myself back up, learn from my mistakes, and move forward from there. Because it was just interesting that resilience happened to be the book that I was in.
Yeah.
Because it then allowed me to take a step back and go, what does resilience mean? And where has it shown up in my life that I didn't really pay attention to prior? That was a really resilient moment. I would say in that toxic environment that I was working in, I first had a person who helped me find my voice by the nature of the experience I had with them. The second one helped me use my voice, and by writing, I now own it, and that is, I don't know, what could be better than that, and so that is exactly how I love to help people. And interestingly enough, when you talked about awareness, that is part of my program is awareness, acknowledgement, acceptance, and action. So those are kind of my 4 pillars that I coach on.
I love that. Well, I know the moment we met, there was a lot of synergy, so there's a lot of overlap here. And I was thrilled to have you a contributing author of Resilience. So since writing was helpful in regards to your personal journey, what was it like to put your story out in public and go through that intensive reflecting journal process is how I kind of propose it. What was that like for you?
It's very healing. I think that, the first thing that I will tell my clients is journal everything, because when we get it out of our mind onto paper, that allows us a different kind of processing, right? And so much of what we have buried down in our unconscious mind, years and years and years of telling ourselves false things that now become real and a part of who we are. All of those things, the only way that we can get it out is to really do the hard work on it. And a huge piece of that is being able to journal it and seeing it. And then I absolutely believe that, because I know we all have a story, getting it out there, if one person reads my story in resilience and goes, if she can, I can, and then their life begins to change, then the system and the dream has worked.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that is what grit is all about, blowing up hopelessness and creating roadmaps or blueprints to help others see that there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. There's always options. So I love that.
Always.
So is there a mantra or a quote that you live by?
Well, I have a couple. The first thing that really got me really rocking and rolling in this is I ran across a quote from Eleanor Roosevelt. And it was, I'm sure I'm not going to do it justice, but my take on it was the very reason why you should do something is because you believe you cannot. And when I read that, I went, wait, I got to read that again, and I was like, that's so true, And the other thing that I really live by is that my superpower is choice. I believe that we have a choice in everything. I understand that we don't cause everything that happens in our life. However, when we take away by placing blame, we give our power away, right? 100%. And when we can just find one little piece of choice in that, then we can then take their power away and give it to ourselves, and then the healing and the journey of growth can begin. And I think that just being able to experience that personally so many times,
Right.
it then allows me really to have that authenticity in what I do.
And I can completely relate. It's always easier to pass the blame onto somebody else rather than to actually take the time to do the work to see what we need to do in order to grow and move on and feel empowered on that journey.
Yes, and I think that what, in my experience and what I read and all the things, is that when we become aware, that means we're ready to deal with it. And yet 98% of the world goes, no, it's not my fault. Whenever somebody leaves with, it's not my fault, I'm like, here we go again, right?
Right.
And then when they say, okay, I'm aware of this, I'm going to acknowledge it. Yeah, I do have some responsibility in this. I do have a choice. And then they accept it. I take responsibility for this, or I understand I have a choice. And then now what action do I take? And that's where I like to show up, is when they're ready to take action.
And tell us about the boot camps that you do, because I'm very excited, because you've told me about these boot camps for quite a while, and I myself get to actually participate in one of your boot camps. So tell me more about your boot camps.
Super excited to have you, by the way. So they are called Success Bootcamps. And the way that I would share with you is that we sort of hold back a veil of this is what's possible. The military teaches that when we're ready to give up, we have really only tapped into 40% of our potential. And when I think about that 60% is inside of me on those times when I did give up, before I had this growth opportunity, that I don't even know what's inside of me then, right? But to know that there is a 60% inside of me that I get to tap into, that's what I hope people understand when they come to boot camp. And we talk about, keys to success, and we really introduce our unconscious mind, which is where I really start geeking out. We do not have enough time for that.
That's so cool.
And just holding back the veil of all the possibilities to step into your greatness.
I can just hear your passion, and I love the fact that you're so curious what's going to be underneath the veil for others. Your servant heart, I can just feel it and I see it. And I was on a call just the other day with a friend because we're getting ready to kick off tenacity. And I thought something she said was really wise, and it reminded me of what you said, where she says sometimes when she was running, her mind would give up faster than her feet. So I love that you help others find their unlocked potential, and you help them push their mindset to grow beyond what they even know is possible.
Yes. And we don't even have a clue how truly our brain and our mind can really serve us. But that reminded me, I used to ride my bikes for miles and miles and miles, right? And that's what I would switch to. I would switch to body, do your job, body, do your job, body, do your job. Especially as I'm going up those hills. Yes. And just let my body do what it was designed to do.
Yeah. So before we wrap things up, is there anything else that you would like to share today?
Just that I just wish the best for everyone, and that they really do become very curious. I love that you brought up the word curious. It's my favorite word. Wasn't always like that. And just become really curious about who you are and who you're designed to be, and accept your uniqueness. I mean, our society tells us all the time, right? This is what you're supposed to look like. This is what you're supposed to weigh. This is what the whole list. And when we can really say, I reject that. And I'm going to really discover who it is that I am, and just do the work, and just, I don't know, it's like a flower, right? Just let yourself bloom. And I'm still that person in progress. Every day I get up knowing that by the end of the day, my dream is to be just a little bit different than I was in the morning. And then tomorrow's a different day, and so on and so forth. Never the same day twice.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for being here today. Thank you so much for sharing your words of wisdom. And I look forward to the next boot camp and person's lives that you're able to impact and touch. So
thank you. Thanks so much.